Sorry about that, folks. As I was saying, that no, so yeah, so now that I got the HO scale and O scale items off my chest of the ones that I am gonna still continue to collect in HO scale of Thomas and Friends, and the Thomas and Friends items in HO scale and O scale that I'm not gonna collect as they don't count. And for HO scale, um, continue collecting all the non-related Thomas trains except Chuggington, and O scale just try to find that one not related Thomas train in O scale of those Amfleet coach and cafe car of Amtrak from O scale, and after that, just not collect any more not related Thomas stuff items in O scale, as I am a bigger fan of HO scale, and also in O scale not collect Chuggington, and in O scale as well not collect Thomas items that do not count for the same reasons as not collecting the HO Thomas items in HO scale of Bachman. So yeah, now that I got that off on my chest, and you guys know that I was still talking about Hornby though, so it's basically so what I was saying with Hornby is that since Hornby is the same, it's also an HO scale. I'm just calling it HO scale. So yeah, so HO scale, yeah, so it is HO scale as well. So basically, yeah, so if I ever collect the Thomas and Friends Hornby collection of Thomas and Friends Hornby, basically, if somebody wants to collect the collection of Hornby, which is me, that since I do possibly want to collect the Hornby collection if I ever do of Thomas and Friends, what I would mean by that is that I would want to collect the basically any scale of Thomas the Train that I want, any new scale of Thomas the Train. I would want to collect the entire collection of Thomas and Friends for that scale. But when it comes to Hornby though, for HO scale, since I already use more Bachman and I grew up with Bachman more, that since I still have a lot to still get from Bachman that I do not yet have for my Thomas product and collection of Thomas, that basically for like the Hornby ones, that basically they know basically I would, you guys would think that if I would possibly want to collect the Hornby collection of Thomas and Friends, that you guys would probably think and assume that I would want to collect the whole entire collection of Hornby Thomas and Friends. But however, folks, if I do, I'm not planning to collect the whole entire Hornby collection of Thomas and Friends. The only Thomas characters out of that Hornby Thomas collection of Hornby that I want to collect out of that Thomas and Friends Hornby collection are only the characters such as Dart, Stephanie, Flying Scotsman, characters, and a few other characters that were only made in Hornby, even though it's also HO scale, but just not made by Bachman. That those are the only characters that I want to collect out of the Hornby collection of Thomas and Friends, are only those ones. Not a Hornby Thomas, not a Hornby Percy, not a Hornby character that a lot of the characters are not only made from Hornby but are already also made from a Bachman, which I already have a lot of the characters and still some more to get. So yeah, so basically folks, so the only Hornby characters out of the whole entire Thomas and Friends collection of Hornby that I'm going to be collecting, only if I decide that I want to collect the Hornby collection of Thomas and Friends in the future. The only ones that I'm going to collect are the ones that Bachman never made, but were made in Hornby. such as Dart, Stephanie Flying Scotsman, Murdoch, D261 Old Slow Coach, and Spencer Special Break Coach. There was a yeah, and I think there's some couple other ones too that Hornby made too that I don't remember if there are or not, but I know that there's a couple other characters and items out there that Hornby did make, but Bachman never did. I just can't remember though. Cause yeah, if I ever collect the Hornby collection, folks, it's not like I'm gonna be collecting the Thomas and Friends scenery from Hornby like I do with a Bachman, because yeah, like the only way I'm collecting Hornby Thomas and Friends is that the only ones I will be collecting are the ones that were made in Hornby, which is the same scale, like HO scale, as the Bachman brand, but Bachman never made those characters. So yeah, that's why I'm collecting. That's why I might be deciding in the next few years that I might want to collect the Hornby collection of Thomas and Friends. But the only Thomas Hornby characters I want to collect out of the whole entire Thomas and Friends Hornby collection is just the characters that were made in Hornby, but not by Bachman, since it is also the same scale, like these ones right here, HO scale. So yeah. So yeah, folks, now that I got that off my chest, yeah, but for now that remains a no still with the Hornby ones. So yeah, that still remains a no with the Hornby collection, folks. And now I'm gonna continue on with the N scale stuff of Thomas. So yeah, so we have a lot to get off our chest with N scale, folks. Is yeah, this is going to be a big year for 2025. So basically, I'll tell you how I quickly decided to get into N scale today. And this was today of January 8th of 2025, folks. So basically, I just, like, the minute I woke up today, like, not even like 3 seconds after I woke up, that something was already in my head, that I was all of a sudden just in love with N scale Thomas. And then yeah, so after I had my breakfast, I just decided, you know what? You know what? Let's kind of do some deep search about like the whole entire Thomas N scale. So yeah, basically I just did some deep search about the Thomas and Friends N scale, and I saw that some other companies, I don't know if they were companies like Bachman is, but yeah, I think the way you pronounce it is Tomix, I think it is, that they used to make, and I don't know if they still do, but I know they used, I'm just going to say they used to, that yeah, they used to make some Thomas N scale items, like a Thomas engine I know of for sure, and same with a Percy, I believe too. That I think they made a James 2 and N scale. That company, I don't know. Then again, I don't know if it's a company, folks. That yeah, so basically it's like those type of Thomas and Friends N scale items, like those were definitely made before Bachman started making Thomas and Bach in a N scale. So yeah, that was before like Bachman started making Thomas and Friends in N scale. But although Bachman was making Thomas and Friends in N scale, but they were making the HO narrow gauge of like Scarloey and that whole entire collection, like Peter Sam and them. But yeah, you can still say that they kind of started making N scale Bachman in like 2015 or 14 or 13. I think it was, no, I think it was 15 or 16 they made it, if I could remember. But now in 2020, they just started making like the official like N scale of like Thomas and Friends, like Thomas, Percy, James now, and Gordon. And yeah, it's just amazing, folks. Really, it is. So yeah, and I think there was another N scale brand too, but I think it was only like, or no, I don't. Wait, was it Tier Master or Tier Maker? Was I don't know how to pronounce it, folks. Yeah, I don't know how to. Yeah, I don't. I think that's how it's spelled. It's spelled one of those two ways. But no, I don't think. Or no, I think it was just a regular Thomas that they made, but it was also made in Tomix though. I don't know. But yeah, but either way, folks. Yeah. So basically, what I'm gonna say is that yeah. So the Thomas N scale product. So since Thomas was already made 100% made in N scale long before Bachman started making Thomas and Friends in N scale. The Thomas and Friends in N scale, folks, that was made by a different brand before Bachman started making N scale of Thomas and Friends. The older Thomas N scale items that were made by a different brand, such as like Tomix, something like that. If you pronounce it that way, it's spelled Tomix. Yeah, Tomix. It's spelled. So yeah. So since N scale Thomas and Friends was made by that brand, Tomix, that before Bachman made their N scale Thomas product, that basically, folks. So yeah, like the way I'm gonna get into N scale is that no, so I will not be collecting the older version N scale from when Thomas N scale was made by the Tomix brand and like company, whatever it was. I don't know if it's a brand or a company, or I think it's both. I don't know. But either way, the Thomas N scale product that was made by Tomix like long before uh Thomas and Friends was made in N scale by Bachman. That basically I'm not gonna like collect the ones by like Tomix, nah. But I did see that there are some like characters that Tomix made in N scale of Thomas that Bachman has not yet made though. But but yeah, but no, like I'm not gonna but yeah, no, but I'm not getting into N scale like that, folks. Since I like just like the same way how I have like Bachman HO scale of Thomas and Friends, and that I'm still like undecided if I want to collect the Hornby collection of Thomas and Friends, but the only ones I'd want to collect in the Hornby collection of Thomas and Friends are the Hornby Thomas characters that are made in Hornby, but not by Bachman, even though it's the same scale. That it's HO scale, but with N scale, though, no, it's not like that though. Because even though I'm undecided with Hornby, still of collecting the characters of Thomas and Friends Hornby that are not made in Bachman, since I'm still undecided about that one. Yeah, I'll probably have a decision on that in like a few years from now, something like that. So basically, that with N scale, like like that won't happen in N scale, because in N scale, folks, like I'm not gonna be undecided like that in N scale like I am with HO scale, like with like Hornby and everything and all that. If I want to collect the characters that are made in Hornby but not by Bachman of HO scale as their HO scale, but yeah, that won't be like that in N scale like it is with HO scale, because N scale, because obviously, folks, because basically I'm always first HO scale is always going to be my first favorite. The way it's going to go is like I have a feeling the way it's going to go is like first HO scale, and if yeah, first it's going to go HO scale, then second O scale, and then third N scale. But however, N scale and O scale can change, and HO scale is always going to stay in first place, as I'm always a bigger HO fan. So if N scale goes well, and my uncle's really enjoying it, and I'm enjoying it too, that N scale will be in second place. So basically, later down the road, the way it could look is well, always it's going to be HO scale in first place for me. Always first place HO scale for me. Second place, we could see possibly N scale in second place if all goes well, and third place O scale. I think it might be this way because O scale, that I'm only collecting the Thomas items that I do not yet have that do count for O scale. So what else was I gonna say? What else? Then now, so yeah, so basically, what I'm gonna say though is that, so the so me collecting, me undecided or not, if I want to collect the other Thomas N scale brand of like the whole entire collection of Thomas N scale of the Tomex brand, the whole entire collection, that I'm not gonna be collecting at all, because like I am, since I am undecided with like possibly collected the Hornby collection of only collecting the ones that Thomas characters were made by Hornby, that the Thomas characters that were made by Hornby but not by Bachman, such as Dardenham, like Murdoch too, you name it, that with N scale, it's not going to be like that in N scale, because in N scale, I'm not going to be collecting I'm not going to be collecting the whole entire Thomas N scale Tomex collection in N scale, like I am going to collect the entire N scale collection of Bachman, Thomas and Friends, of N scale Bachman, Thomas and Friends. Because even though there are some, because I did see there is a couple characters, or like a few characters that are made by Tomex though, that are not made in Bachman, and maybe Bachman will make them, I don't know, that those ones, I'm not going to collect those either, folks. I'm not collecting those either. Basically, I'm not collecting. The easiest way for me to say it is that I'm not collecting the whole entire, I will not be collecting the whole entire old school like N scale Thomas of the Tomex brand. So yeah, only the Bachman, that's it. And the reason is because the reason it's because that I think the Bachman N scale of Thomas and Friends is better, and B, that I'd rather collect the the HO narrow gauge, since that was always on my bucket list for my mind first. So yeah, that's why I don't want to break that promise to myself though, because me collecting the whole entire collection of the Tomix brand, but because if I did collect the Tomix brand of Thomas N scale, that the only characters I would be collecting are the ones that were made in that brand, but some of them were basically the characters I would only be collecting out of that Tomix N scale Thomas brand would be the ones that are not made yet in Bachmann N scale, if Bachmann N scale ever makes some of those. But no, but yeah, no, the Tomix brand, like, you could literally cut that off the chart, that the Tomix brand of Thomas N scale, that one, I'm never getting that collection at all, because still I'm collecting because most importantly, I rather collect the Bachmann Thomas N scale items more, and B, the Bachmann Thomas N scale I feel is better than the other Thomas N scale brand of Tomix. I just feel the Bachmann one is better. So yeah. So besides me collecting the N scale Thomas and Friends collection, so what I mean by that is, so I will be collecting the whole entire Thomas and Friends N scale collection of Bachmann. So yeah, I will be collecting the entire yes, I am going to be collecting the entire Thomas and Friends N scale Bachmann collection of Thomas and Friends N scale that's made in Bachmann. I'm gonna be collecting the entire collection, and I'm gonna show you guys too at the end of the video. I'm gonna show you guys at the end of the video of it too, and I'm gonna show you guys too of like the HO narrow gauge collection of like Skarloey, Rheneas and them that I'm gonna be collecting. So basically once I start collecting the HO narrow gauge and the N scale of Thomas and Friends, that'll mean that I'll have HO scale and O scale, which I currently have. Not only will I still continue those ones the way I just explained them, how I will continue those two scales, that I will also be adding the HO narrow gauge and the N scale. Although these two, the HO narrow gauge and the N scale, run on the same track, like that run on N scale track, because HO narrow gauge is N scale though. So basically, folks, so rather I have room on my future layout, or I don't have room on my future layout to add on another section of layout to add on like the N scale layout, so I could use it to like collect the HO narrow gauge Thomas characters such as Skarloey, Rheneas and them to run on, since it runs on N scale track. Because since it runs on N scale track, that's why I'm deciding to collect the Thomas and Friends Bachmann collection, the whole entire Thomas and Friends Bachmann collection as well, to basically have them run on that track too. So basically it's gonna be my future HO layout, folks. So basically, on my future HO layout where I have the glue down track, that rather I have room, or I do not have room to add on the N scale layout so I can collect the whole entire collection of the Thomas H.O. narrow gauge collection of Skarloey, Rheneas, Rusty, and them, which runs on N scale track, because it'll be N scale track. And same thing with collecting the entire Bachmann N scale collection of Thomas and Friends, so I can run on that too. Whether I have room or don't have room for it, that as creative as I am though, that I am gonna find a way, that I'm not gonna stop myself from wanting to collect the HO narrow gauge and the Thomas N scale. I'm not gonna stop myself from doing it because I want to make my uncle happy and I want to make him proud, and then that way we could share a layout together, and yeah, I can do all the decorating and he can get whatever N scale trains he wants for himself, and yeah, he can run them on my future N scale layouts. So yeah, I don't want to let him down, and especially I don't want to let you guys down, and I don't want to let myself down, because what my heart is telling me is that, Mark, I know you did tell your YouTube fans that if you do have room on your future HO layout where you're going to map down or glue down the track, the HO track, that if you have room, you would collect the whole entire collection of HO narrow gauge of Thomas, such as Skarloey and Rheneas in them. And same thing with them getting the whole entire N scale Bachmann Thomas and Friends collection as well, since they both run on N scale track, which I discovered weeks ago. Or if you don't have room, that you tell your fans that you can't unfortunately get the HO narrow gauge collection of Skarloey in them, and same with the N scale ones of Thomas Bachmann. That basically, don't let that get to you, because you should still give it a try. And yeah, so basically folks, I'm listening to my heart, and basically I'm doing what my heart tells me to do. So yeah, so that's why I'm deciding, you know what? I don't have to wait until I start working on my future layout. I don't have to wait till I start working on my future HO layout. That I can even just start collecting N scale and N scale Thomas and Friends Bachmann and HO narrow gauge of Skarloey and them. They basically, I mean, look at it this way, folks. You see, for years, now that I think of it, for years, I collected HO scale, all of HO scale of what I have this way, as you can see, like Thomas trains, non-Thomas trains of HO scale, and now this has already been in the works for like maybe 2 years now. For 2 years now, I already have had my future HO layout mapped out, and 2 years ago is when I mapped out my future HO layout for when I want to like glue down the track, do the one with the glue down track. That I finished like 2 years ago as I mapped it out, and soon, I'm hoping by like the end of this year or in early 2026 or mid 2026, I start working on my future layout so I can glue down the HO track, and yeah, that's gonna be fun and everything. I cannot wait for that. So yeah, so that'll be cool, folks. And yeah, so I am looking forward to that. And I forgot what else I was gonna say. What else? So yeah, so oh yeah, so since I explained that, folks, so so basically I'll say it this way, like I didn't think of it this way, so but I'll explain it though. If I can collect HO scale with all this easy track that I have, which I know Kato has the better track than Bachman, which I am aware of though. But this Bachman track can be good though, and I am aware that the black steel track right here, like this one, is not as good as the silver gray one right here. I am aware of that though, and but no, that's why I have it like this though, because I'm just waiting for the right time to start working on my future layout of HL scale to glue down the track. Just waiting for the right opportunity. And it's gonna be amazing. Yeah, so if I can keep collecting HL scale trains as I have so many now and still own a lot over the years that I've had for years, if I can still keep doing that as I still have all this easy track that I still run this stuff on, then I can start collecting the HO narrow gauge collection, the whole entire HO narrow gauge Thomas collection of Skarlovi, Rheneas, Peter Sam in them. And same thing with like Thomas N scale as well, that whole entire Thomas N scale collection, since they run on the same track as the HO narrow gauge of Skarlovi in them. That means I can do that too, because I never thought to do that. Yeah, I just never thought to do that in the first place. So, and that's what I'm gonna do. And no wonder why my heart was saying that to me. And now it makes sense. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do, folks. Is yeah. So yeah, so yeah, oh, and also too, folks. So yeah, so and also too, yeah, like next Wednesday, January 15th of 2025, I saw today that I saw on Train World today when I was looking through all like the HO narrow gauge items and uh N scale Thomas items too of Bachman, that no, there's gonna be, I'm seeing that there's gonna be a lot of, I'm gonna see that next Wednesday, 7 days from now on January 15th of 2025, there's gonna be a lot of releases of Thomas and Friends for N scale, HO narrow gauge, which is N scale though, but I just call it N scale because it's the same thing. If it runs on the same track, I'm just gonna call it N scale. And same with HO scale too, because next next Wednesday Stanley comes out too. That's gonna be cool though. But and I know I did say too that no, like they rather you have favorite characters or you do not have favorite characters. That some people only just collect their favorite characters and not collect their favorite characters. But some other people, which I'm one of those other people, that collects like the whole entire collection, like like favorite characters that are my favorites and characters that are not my favorites. That as big of a Thomas fan that I am, I just collect the whole entire collection. Like characters that are my favorites and characters that are not my favorites. I just collect the whole entire collection. So I can say that I have it though. And that I want them all, folks. Like characters that are my favorites and characters that are not my favorites. Like I just want the whole entire collection in HO scale and O scale of the items that count, that are discontinued currently on sale and coming out in the future. Hopefully Lionel will make some more O scale Thomas items to come out in the future as a potential. And HO scale narrow gauge Thomas, it's going to be for Skarloey, Rheneas, that whole entire collection that you guys seen. That's going to be that too. Like I want that whole entire collection. I want all of them. And for N scale Bachman and Thomas and Friends, I want them all too. And yeah, for N scale guys, there are a couple items for N scale that are not going to count though, and like a couple that I kind of want to get, even though they're already going to be in a set. And yeah, but for HO narrow gauge, there are no items that, if I had to remember, I don't think I put down any items for HO narrow gauge that do not count at all. Because I think all of them do count though. Because there was no sets or anything, I don't think, for HO narrow gauge. So yeah, folks, yeah, so I'm definitely gonna be doing that, and it's gonna be a blast. I cannot wait. So yeah. And also too, guys, so basically by the time I have N scale and HO scale narrow gauge of Skarloey in them, so once I start collecting those, then basically I'll have N scale, HO narrow gauge of Thomas, like Skarloey in them basically, and still have O scale and HO scale. That means I'll have like 3 or 4 brands, whatever you want to call it, because like if you want to call it 4 brands, like HO scale, O scale, HO narrow gauge, and N scale, then that'd be 4 brands right there. But if you just want to if you want to call HO narrow gauge N scale, since it runs on the same track, since it runs on N scale track, that you can just call the HO narrow gauge, like Skarloey and them, that collection, like N scale, which that's basically like 3 scales right there. So yeah, but the way I'm saying it right now, just to be clear, is that, yeah, so basically, so HO scale, O scale I'll still have for Thomas, and N scale and HO narrow gauge for Thomas, like Skarloey and them. Once I start collecting those 2 scales, even though it's the same scale, like that, because it runs on N scale track, that the only scale that will be left out of the question that I will not have is G scale, large scale, whatever you call it. Some people call it G scale, some people call it large scale. But yeah, because I even thought about today, do I want to collect the G scale or large scale, whatever you call it, even though some people call it G scale and some people call it large scale, like I said to myself, do I want to collect the large scale of the whole entire large scale Thomas and Friends collection? But then again, folks, there's already no room left though to add it on, and B, I mean, maybe I should not have said this earlier in my other video, that I said that how the house that I live in, there wouldn't, it's kind of like too small in my house to it's since my house is kind of too small to have room for fit the large scale and everything or whatever. But honestly, I should not have said it like that, folks. I apologize. In my other video, I should not have said it that way. Basically, what I should have just, I could have if I wanted to, but honestly, folks, basically, the main reason is that the product, the large scale, it's just too expensive. I feel it's just really, really expensive. Because I was looking through the Bachman book and everything today, and I just saw the prices on it, and man, they're outrageous. they're really really expensive. But then again though, they're but obviously it is the bigger scale though, in that they're going to be more expensive. But no, I feel that I rather stick with the scales that I already have, instead of like basically getting into like a new scale and everything. But N scale though, it's one thing though, because um I originally was gonna like only do like the because I thought that I never knew what when I was gonna get into like the HO narrow gauge. I thought it was gonna be like an like the same size as like it was gonna be like in the middle of like N scale and like HO scale, not be able to run on N scale or HO track. But no, I when I learned that it ran on N scale track, I'm like, oh shoot, then I might as well collect the Thomas N scale Bachmann collection too. So yeah, so basically, so that's that. And same thing that my uncle wants to get into N scale too. So I figured now this is the way to go. So yeah, no, not getting in, because basically, guys, that if I was to get into basically, because once I have some N scale items of Thomas and Friends Bachmann, and same with the HO narrow gauge of Scarlowi and them. Once I start having them, then that means I'll have like 4 scales of Thomas and Friends, except like, and then that'll mean like the only scale of Thomas and Friends that will be left out will be a large scale. That's the only scale that's going to be left out, will be large scale. And the reasoning is because A, the product's too expensive, and B, I just like never fell in love with large scale. And C, even though my grandpa does own a G scale, large scale, whatever you call it, an old school large scale set from like the 1930s and 40s that he still has to this day. But just because he has it, it doesn't mean that I'm interested in getting into like large scale. Because if I got into large scale, folks, I would be collecting first off, if I was to get into large scale, first off, I would be collecting the Thomas and Friends items in large scale that Bachmann also makes, that whole entire collection. But large scale though, I'm just saying this right now, folks, that I'm making it very clear that once I have N scale of Thomas in my collection, and once I have the HO narrow gauge or like Scarlowi in them, I'm making it clear that you will never see me collect any Thomas large scale at all. You will never see me collecting the Thomas and Friends Bachmann large scale collection at all. You will never see that at all. So yeah, it's just that but more importantly though, it's just because that like I'm not into large scale at all, folks. I just feel that it's like kind of like just a little bit too big though. But I mean, they're cool and everything though. They're very cool to look at. But I just kind of like prefer for like what I got, and I prefer N scale. But however, folks, you never know with me though. I could change my mind in the future. You just never know. Like, never say never, because I also did see too that I think Lionel did make a few Thomas items, and that Lionel used to make some, like, a few Thomas items too in G scale or large scale that I saw. I've seen those old school G scale Thomas items that were made by Lionel from like years and years ago at some train shows in my local train show every year at the train fair, or at the New York State Fairgrounds. that yeah, I mean I've seen them run there before, but it just like never caught my eye. So because I just said to myself that I was thinking that if I was to ever get into like the large scale, obviously I would collect the entire Bachman collection of Thomas and Friends large scale of Thomas and Friends, that whole entire collection, and possibly the same thing with um the ones in Lionel 2 that were made years ago, that yellow track and all that. Possibly collect that whole entire collection too, but or just like some of them, I don't know, or just the Bachman ones of large scale Thomas. But yeah, but possibly guys, that if I was to ever get into large scale by collecting the Thomas and Friends items in large scale that are made in Bachman, the Bachman ones, the whole entire Bachman collection of large scale Thomas and Friends, I would only probably collect, and that's about it. And not the ones in G scale, even not the ones in Lionel, I meant, even though they made a few of them in Lionel. Because yeah. But yeah, that's if I ever do it, folks. But for now, that definitely remains a big time no, and I doubt that's ever gonna happen. But you never know. It's like something could change though. And if it does, I'll let you guys know. But no, but for now though, I'm not focusing on that, and I'm not gonna talk about that now because that's why I want you guys to be aware. The large scale one's gonna be the only one that's gonna be left out of the equation. Because yeah, I'm more focused and like busier with what's going on right now. And yeah. So yeah, me collecting the large scale Thomas Bachman collection, that's still a no. And that's always going to remain a big no. But you never know. Next maybe 10 or 20 years from now, I could change my mind. But right now, it's never going to happen. It's like a 1% chance. So yeah, that's that, folks. And yeah, so I'm going to definitely be, so I'm definitely going to be, yes, I'm definitely going to be, asking, my birthday's definitely coming up soon. And yeah, I'm gonna be asking for Stanley. HO scale Stanley is what I'm gonna be asking for. And yeah, so yeah, that's it for today's video, guys. Leave a like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. And yeah, so basically, guys, so just get ready, folks. Hold on tight, because one of my next unboxing videos, you might start seeing N scale coming into my whole entire model train collection, and same with HO narrow gauge. Because yeah, the goal is that I want to collect the entire HO narrow gauge collection of Scarlonian them. Like I want to collect the entire N scale Bachman collection of Thomas and Friends, since they both run on the same N scale track, which they do run on N scale track because it says that. Yeah, that's the goal though. They basically, one of those, little by little, you probably might start seeing in the next unboxing video. So be aware of that. And yeah, when I start working on my future HO layout, where I start gluing down the track, that I'm always gonna find room to add on the N scale track. Because when I collect N scale, like N scale is much smaller, a lot, like 20 times smaller than the large scale, that yes, I will definitely find some room to add on the N scale track somehow. I'll find a way. Because me collecting the large scale of Thomas and Friends, rather I collected the the whole entire large scale collection of Thomas and Friends and Bachman, because it's made by Bachman, or um, some non-related Thomas trains in large scale, or both at the same time. Either way, that like there won't be any room for that the way it's set up. And same thing with yeah, it's just like won't be enough room though. It's just like there's like too big of a setup though. And yeah, so yeah, but yeah, if I ever collect the Thomas and Friends large scale collection in Bachman that made by Bachman, if I ever do collect that whole entire collection, I want to, I'll let you guys know. But for now, it definitely remains a big time no. Like it's a less than 1% chance that'll ever happen. Because right now I'm focused on like N scale and HO narrow gauge with Scarloni in them. Because we have a lot to look forward to. Because January 15th, which is next Wednesday, that's going to be a big day to look forward to. And with all these Bachman releases and all these scales. And yeah, and even though if Bachman was to release any large scale items of Thomas and Friends January 15th, I could care less because in the meantime, I'm never ever collecting large scale Bachman Thomas items, that whole entire collection at all. Unless I change my mind in the next 10 or 20 years, if I may or may not want to. That for now it's still a no, and that's the only scale that's going to be left out is the large scale. That's it. I mean, it would have been nice though. It would have been nice though, guys, to get the large scale too for Thomas. So then I could say that I have Thomas and Friends in HO scale, O scale, N scale, and HO narrow gauge soon. And now and then large scale. It would have been nice for it to be like that though. It would have been nice to have all 5 scales of Thomas and Friends like that, but no, just due to the prices and me not being interested in large scale, and just not enough like room though, as like I already have enough space taken up from like my all scale layout, that that I'm just never getting into large scale period, unless something was to change in the next 10 or 15 20 years from now, maybe 30 years from now, I don't know. That would be rare if I was it would be rare if I was to change my mind that I all of a sudden want to collect the large scale Thomas and Friends Bachman in large scale. But yeah, that's never going to happen, folks. I'm just going to say right now, that's never going to happen, even though it's like a less than 1% chance that it will. I'm just saying right now, it's not going to happen, and it never will, probably. Never, ever. So yeah, there's a lot to look forward to with N scale and HO narrow gauge. So yeah, leave a like and subscribe, guys. Peace out.